Bill here from Bill's Never Ending Projects, and I got my circuit breakers in. They're 10 amps, a couple bags of them, and I got my 2 pieces of copper that I can bend to make legs on them, because they're that type, and that's not going to fit in the barrel thing. So I got some copper to bend, 22 gauge I picked. And this goofy thing come in, supposed to be from Southwest Wire or something. Some kind of a universal wire tracking. It would put some kind of a signal on a wire, and then I can take this other piece and then trace it out to find one in a harness. But instead of doing that, trying to work with what I got there, you've seen it, I took this off and looked in here. It's this background takes up most of that part of the cabinet. Down here there's a lot of room, and I was thinking, if I didn't have these Jones plug up here and these switches to my cheap way to make an adjustment for whether you want to match or not, or something like that. So the adjustments are supposed to be on that side and the 3 Jones plugs on this side. But everything looked good up here, or pretty good, until I put this up here. So if I could just eliminate this from here, and I was thinking maybe I should just desolder all those. I mean, it's like 60 of them I'd have to do. If I would desolder all those Jones plugs, it's like 22 on one and 20 on another one and 18 on another one. If I would desolder all those again, maybe I could make something down here, because look at all the room in here. It's underneath this. Maybe I could put those in and the cable would certainly be long enough, because instead of being up here, it'd be down there, so I'd have 3 feet extra. Oh no, the run man thing's here. Oh darn. But still, from here, that's about a foot. That's about another foot. So from here, I got 2 feet. Yeah, so that would still work, because even if I wanted to set it down on the bottom here, I could. So that's a better idea. Except I'm going to have to lengthen 60 wires if I do that. I'd have to lengthen the 60 wires, and then I'd have to go back through going, what's what? So this is just an idea, but if I could get this out of here and put it down there, it sure would be neater up here. So I'm thinking about all this. So I haven't got anything except I reviewed the run relay, because when I get all those wires so I can actually see the run relay, so the run relay has to hold it on. It goes to the hot side of the coil, and the score drum stepper unit end of stroke cuts the hold. So and switch 2 is a pulse the 0 through 90, and switch 3 is to pulse the 10 through 90, and switch 4 rings the bell. That's all the run relay does. The high score impulse relay, I said possibly has 5 switches. It's got 5 switches. So one holds itself on again. So I haven't reviewed this since I wrote it down, but there's the ground. It comes from the ground. is the high score stepper unit end of stroke switch, so it goes from the ground to the end of stroke switch from the red reels, and then then you got switch run, because we're on the high score impulse relay. So switch 1, we're going to do 2, 3. Switch 1 is just in between, so when that impulse relay pulls in, it puts a circuit through here right from the ground, and this high score stepper unit will break the ground. So if this was held down, this would keep clacking the high score impulse relay, but stay on because the end of stroke breaks the hold. This high score impulse relay is only going to come on for a second, and so this must help hold it on to make that second long enough until that end of stroke cuts it. Number 2 comes off the run stepper auto reset. Depends where you have the telephone pin in. So you got the ground, then you got the run stepper unit fingers. When they get to where the auto set telephone pin is in, to that rivet, the high score impulse relay switch 2 is the one that does this. We're on switch 2. 1 holds it in, 2 is for the auto reset, 3 replay latch, because the high score has a latch and a trip, and it's not the bank relay. It's got 2 coils on each one, so this is to latch it. So switch 3 is between the ground and the high score impulse relay switch 3, which we're talking about. And that's all it is. It's very simple. The ground, the switch, and then it pulls in the latch. Number 4, I imagine it's hooked through a 0 switch, but it stops the column of the red stepper unit, a 10s column. I put 10 through 40, that's all it goes up to, and switch 5 is a make and break. The reason they got that there is so you can have a manual reset that it's set to all the time, and then when the high score impulse relay pulls in, where switch 1 holds it, switch 1 duty was to hold it, and it pulls in the high score coil, impulse relay coil. It's the thing in the back box that clacks just like the run relay. It clacks. Step 5, when the make and break switch is changed, when the high score impulse relay is pulled in, then it's not manual reset anymore. It's now going to do the reds column. So this one here moves it up. What pulls in the high score impulse relay? The run unit end of stroke switch 2. So the high score impulse relay holds itself on with switch 1. Switch 2 is for the auto reset from the auto reset the red score reels back to 20, and that's because of the where the telephone pin is on the run unit. 3 leaves a good path when pulled in. Of course, goes without saying that these are all gonna, when the high score impulse relays clacked once, it pulls all the switches in, and it has 5 switches. So 1 holds itself on, 2 is for the auto reset to reset the red score reels. 3 leaves a good path when pulled in to pull in the high score replay latch. Now there's the arrow so you don't get mixed up. This one's auto reset, this one's replay. That's for every time you top the high score, you get free game. And you can't get that without this number 3 switch closing. And it closes the same time this reset relay, or this high score impulse relay gets pulled in. How does it get pulled in? It pulls in the high score impulse relay, the run end of stroke switch 2. Number 4 pulls in, will power the tens column when the 9 switch allows it to step up once. Number 5, make and break switch changes poles when it's the workhorse because it does the ones column, which is most all that you use pretty much because it's set on 20 and you're going to go to 30. So the tens column's only ever going to click twice, even if you got it all the way to the highest amount. Here's the story. When the high score impulse relay in the back box is pulled in from the high score stepper unit, so when the high score impulse relay, that's the one with the 5 switches in the back box, is pulled in from the high score stepper unit, 0 through 9 disc matching the run unit disc at that time, where it's at and at that time. So if you're on the ones column and the red stepper unit, let's say, is on 5, and the run stepper unit gets to that rivet, it will go through the run end of stroke switch, switch 2, end of stroke switch 2, and pull in the high score impulse relay. So now we're finding how it gets pulled in from the long story. So the long story was high score impulse relay in the back box is pulled in from the high score stepper unit 0 through 9 disc when it matches the stepper unit, because stepper unit, yes, but the run stepper unit. So when you get run 1 through 20, it doesn't match anything till you get up to where the high score is. It's set at 20. And then every time you beat the previous high score, I think you possibly get a free game, right? Even in the middle of the game. So let's say you have a 5-digit and the run stepper unit gets to that rivet, then it will go through the run unit end of stroke switch 2 and pull in the high score impulse relay. That's not that hard to understand, because when you get to that rivet, that will pull in this high score impulse relay that's going to clack one time and pull in its 5 switches. And relay switch 4 powers the 9 position in case the column was getting the 9, so in case you had 29, then it would go to 30 and click the other one. And if so, then switch 4 will power the tens column, and then switch 5 is the workhorse that does the ones column. So that's back there. And that run stepper unit that was pretty easy is back there. All that did is hold itself on and do the 0 through 9 white drum and do the 10 through 90 white drum and ring the large bell. Done. But this high score impulse relay is definitely harder with the 5 switches, and it doesn't have just 2 duties that are almost the same. See, I got these wires right here coming out of the top of the run unit. That's strictly to match this ones column right here. There they are getting up here. They just wind through there and come right back around right here and come up here. That's these right here. So the reason they're there is so when this run disc that's kind of inside the numbers matches this run disc finger, and it's wired so that the end of stroke switch number 2 will end of stroke switch number 2 we'll pull in the high score impulse relay, and it's 5 switches. And there it is right there. It's my top one right here with its 5 switches. We'll switch 4 and 5 on it. Take care of turning those 2 drums. Switch 5 is going to turn the 1s column and be the workhorse, and switch 4 is just going to work through the 9 switch and do just 2 clicks, even if you got it all the way up to 45. Got to make this as easy as these, where all this did is do the hold it on, do the 0 through 9 white drum, and the 10 through 90 white drum, and ring the large bell. Now this is getting easier. Now on about the 3rd or 4th time through it, the high score impulse relay holds itself on. When it gets pulled in, it switch 2 is switch 2 and 3 don't have nothing to do with running the score up when it matches, but they reset the high score reset relay latch coil and the high score replay. See, this is reset, that's replay. And those two are the last 2 we covered. They're relay 11 and relay 12. So it latches. So this thing will latch. So that you get your you get your replay at the end of the game. Relay 11 in that bank. That's why. 11. That's why it has to latch. And 12. See, those got 2 coils each. They have to make it easy now. We went through it about 3 or 4 times. So the high score impulse relay will pull in when those unit fingers match the on the disc will match the red score reel's fingers. So when that happens, this clacks. The high score impulse relays clacks once. Switch 1 holds it on. Switch 2 and switch 3 match those last 2 relays. So that you get your replay at the end of the game. 4 and 5 run the high score up. So there, I did it. Now I can name it all in 10 or 15 seconds. Switch 1 holds it on. Switch 2 and 3, it resets the relay, high score reset relay latch and high score replay latch. Well, don't reset it, it latches 12, and then steps 4 and 5, run the score reels up. There. The only other one in there, above all that wire mess, is the score reset relay, and I'm hoping that's going to be simple. I don't remember everything I just wrote on here. It was a while ago. Easy as the run relay. Switch 1 resets 0 through 9. Switch 2 resets, player 1, 0 through 9. Switch 2 resets second player 0 through 9. So I wouldn't doubt if 3 and 4 reset the 10s column. 10 through 9 first player and 10 through 90 second player. And the relay coil, M30 1700, is different than the other 2. Those are 1800 ratings. Winding. But it's down at L10. And to understand the run stepper unit, end of stroke switches, it has 3. Switch 1, switch 2, and switch 3. Switch 1 energizes the run relay and its 4 switches to what the 1 relay does. The one I said is easy. It just switch 2 does 0 through 9, player 1 and 2, and switch 3 does 10 through 90, player 1 and 2. So these are kind of going to be separate, kind of like when you're putting score on. Now we're taking score off and resetting it. So they're going to go through their 0 switch. Instead of when you're going up, you're going through the 9 switch. There it is. I knew I had it written because you're going through the 9 switch. So when it gets to 9, it will clack that 10s column. But now we're resetting, so the only thing we care about is the 0 switches. So I might have got mixed up for a second thinking we were putting runs on, but we're taking runs off. So high score, dealing with the high score clacking and resetting the latches. And the other one was putting runs on, and this one's taking runs off. So reset relay switch 1, there's no hold. So switch 1 right away is resetting 0 through 9 white drum, first player. Switch 2 is resetting second player 0 through 9. Switch 3 is resetting 10 through 90 player 1. Switch 4 is resetting 10 through 90 player 2. And that's all it is. And then I wrote down where the coil is located at L10. So now we're making them look easy, right? We got the high score clacking. We got putting the runs on. We got taking the runs off. So I got to deal with that. And of course, I got wires hooking to those 3 things from the run stepper unit. Let's see if it goes to the same 3 areas that's on the other relay, high score impulse relay, and run reset relay. We got one for each one. And then, excuse me, then these would be accounted for. Yep, switch 1, run, putting runs on, run relay. Switch 2, putting runs on the high score impulse relay. So this will pull in its 4 switches, putting runs on with 2 of them. And this one, it pulls in 5 switches of the high score impulse relay. And we know switch 4 and 5 do the scoring. And then what do we got? Switch 3 closes the path through the run adjust. Oh, for the replay. So for the score reset, you don't have to go through a end of stroke. So 2 of them were, 1 of them isn't. 1 opens a path for the replays on that. The run stepper has auto reset, but it also has auto replay. There are 2 telephone pins, so you can win 2 times. I mean, there's all kinds of settings, but they only have 2 pins. So you only get to win 2 times from going from 0 runs up to 45 runs. I think there's 3. Yeah, that's the run unit. I think there's 3 pins. I'll say run unit. And right down on the side here, there it is. There's the numbers. Those are where you can put the telephone pins in to get your free game. You have to pick because you see a lot of spots there, but you only see a couple pins. I only see 1. But I bought this used off eBay, so... There's no, there's another one there. There's right 3. Here. And you got 1 here. So I got it set at 20 rounds and 12. Kind of like pinball, huh? So then, as we'll come around and look at the bottom, see those are the automatic reset for the high score. You can put it any one you want. You can make the high score reset earlier because then nobody gets a chance if it's way up on 40 to beat the previous high. So you can set it to reset earlier. That's what those are down there. Well, I'm going to think about it overnight if I'm going to cut all those 60 wires and have to link them, but I think I probably will. But if it would just work the way I got it wired, then nobody'd have to do anything in there. But I wish I would have thought of putting them down in the bottom where there's all that room. I didn't know it was going to be that crowded when I got those in there. I mean, because you see how the factory ones are. They're so neat and everything. Everything's over to the side and everything. You can see the run relay, the high score impulse relay, and the reset relay with no problem. It's because they use the right gauge wire. And if I decide to in the morning, I'm going to desolder all those 60 wires. Okay, here's the sheet of copper. That means they're just two little sheets, probably 3 or 4 inches, but see, I can get at least two out of there, probably 3 or 4 times, if I can bend it. So I'll have to find something that will fit in here, and then I can try to make this bend just like they did. Good luck on that, huh? So I cut off just a little bit less than a half inch, I believe. Maybe it is just a half inch, or it's a little less. Otherwise, these two will hit together. I guess you could use a grinder and grind some off, but if you get it too big, you just make yourself another job. So now I just gotta bend this around, and then I'll have to reclamp this in a different spot, probably over here, and then finish with a needle nose. I'll let you know how that goes. You have to finish it where you put it off to the edge there. And then when you get this side bent, you switch it to this edge. And then you can squeeze it, and you squeeze it with the needle nose. So you kind of have to move it 3 times. Okay, it's another day. I'm down here. Didn't get down here till noon, but I got enough cut to make, because it takes 2 for each one. I got enough cut. I mean, I have to cut them off yet and drill the holes, but I got enough bent, the little curlicue thing. Got enough bent for 3 fuses, so I'm going to get those made. In case I cut the wiring and have to go back in and splice or resolder, or else unless I just cut the wire back about a ways and just splice all these. So I reviewed all these, and it seems like if they say something in the back box, they're coming out of the Jones plug to go to the thing in the back box. But like this one where I got from, if they mention something in the back box, if they, no, I got it backwards. If they mention something in the cabinet, the downstairs cabinet of the machine, so you're going to the run unit in the back box, but here they're mentioning something from the belly of the machine, so you're coming from the outstepper disc that's in the belly. So you gotta, it can get your head messed up with all these things, where they're going, and but I kind of studied these all morning, because I thought about it, I think I'm gonna probably cut the wires and move that out of there and then lengthen them, but not positive yet. Well, I got them all center punched, and I drilled one out. As I drilled one out, I wondered how I was going to fasten them. And then my one actual 10 amp breaker came today, but this one breaker is as much as it's a lot. So that's why I decided to make some up. So I got some pop rivets. This might attach those things, and if this does 1/8 inch, oh yeah, there it is, 1/8 inch, okay. With my one that should say 10 amp on it. Yep, so that should just pop right in. Alright, so it should just pop right in. I guess I could put it so you can read the top, but oh, I see, you gotta point it the other way anyway. And then you can't read it anyway. Push it back. So it'll just be upside down. Alright, now the ones I'm making up can go where those other two are, and we'll have all breakers. Except for the one for the pitching, and the one for the bank relay. I wish I had these made up. Well, I guess I'll do one on camera here. Got it center punched, so I put an 1/8 inch drill in. I did have a smaller drill bit, but I could only get the popper if it's an 1/8 inch, so. Okay, got her drilled, now cut it off. I don't cut it till I'm done here, in case the hole comes out further down or something. Guess that's sticking out about right. I already got one on, so one more to go. I've already reamed this one out. They're probably metric, but so get another pop those in here. And the copper piece. Unless I gotta ream it more. Looks like it. There, went right down. Okay, and then if it doesn't come out tight enough, you can squish the rivet a little with the vice grip, and then you gotta choke up and bite it again. The funny thing is, if you ever buy one of these, before you change the heads, lock this together. I didn't know that, so when I took this little wrench and took the head off, because they put other heads here, it went flying. Now the biggest head that might be used the most is gone. I can't find it. So, see how it looks? Pretty even. And then it's got a button, so now I just got to do a couple more like it, and I'll do all the rest some other time. There is some little waterproof thing here. I could put it on, then you can't see it anymore. I just noticed on this factory one, there's a block in the middle that keeps these from turning, so they stay apart from each other. So I looked to see how mine came out. Okay, mine won't be able to turn because I got this right up against it. But this one I cut shorter, and I might have to throw this one away and make them all like this one. Alright, so at least I learned that. Well, it's Wednesday, and I just drove a 25-mile round trip to get, or 27-mile round trip to get some of these butt connectors for about $12 or $13. You get 100 of them. Being now Wednesday and Christmas is next Wednesday, so one thing on the internet says 6 days and some amount of hours to Christmas, so it's definitely a week away. So With these connectors, I'm thinking about this is the last time you'll see that with these Jones plugs plugged in. They're still plugged in. I'm going to unplug them, rewire them down there, and might even build a little platform coming out here where I can work on them. Maybe something that'll actually slide in, but that'll take a lot of time. So maybe I could make a temporary one that would be out here, and then when I'm all done, I could just take it off. But I'm going to get to it. So that's the last time, because even if I wired it all correctly, it's just a couple simple things keeping it from working. I can barely put the door on the back. So, and to get at my 3 relays in there, my high score relay and my run relay and my score reset. If I can get this so it's just a cable coming through here, a couple cables, 2 or 3, where I get this neatened up, I could care less if the Jones plugs are up here, down here, so mine will just be different. I'm going to get cut. So first things first, I got that little shelf I pre-drilled with a small drill bit and rounded off the corners, and used some Torx bolts, and I didn't crack the 3/4, and it's solid enough. And so now I gotta get those Jones plugs cut out of there, and then place them down here, and then start trying to keep track of the wires while I do it, and make a cable with 60 cables in it. A total of 1 cable with 60 wires in it, or 3 cables, one with 22, one with 20, and one with 18. One of the 3. Well, it's about noon, and I only got one spliced out of 62 or something. But I got one of the cables run. I decided to make it. I was going to do 4 feet, then I went down to 3 feet. Now I can see just how far off I got the wire when I decided to start doing this. 22 wires together equal they're 60 wires. That can't be 60 wires there, can it? Well, that's what I'm running. I'm running 60 because 62 pins are solder lugs. So then I guess I'll have to cut a bigger space out here. That's no big deal. Put one over here, one here, one here. But this is the one with the most wires. Or I can just make this one wider. That's probably what I'll do. Yeah. Each one's going to have 2 less. And the other one, you know, it keeps going 2 less, so 4 less on one. But, well, as soon as I get these made up and hanging here, then I can cut and splice and cut and splice, and then I'm going to say, well, how am I going to know where they all are on this end? That's where I'll have to use that wire tracer. Because, like I wrote down some colors, but they're all going to be the same color. Oh well, they get interesting. I'm going to grind a little off the corner of the stopper right here. It's really sharp. top part. Yeah, that's well, that was really getting me. I could have really got it, and up here too. Get it a little better with a file, I guess. But I have to reach back in here. I have to keep, the whole point of doing this is to straighten out wires. So as I cut them off here, I want to have them neat when they're going to go down through here. It's the whole purpose, to get this all neatened up and out of here. So when they all leave, I want them to leave neatly. So I got to reach back in here once in a while. Right there, that thing would go right against my arm. So I'm making a little headway here. I decided to go into my skinnier wire. I used it for the lights, so I just happened to have a new box, so I might as well take some of those out of that 22 wire 16 gauge cable and put some of these in. That'll make that cable a little bit thinner. I'm going to quit. It's getting late. I'll certainly be following this 10 Jones plug in this 11, and I'm going to do this 11 first. I was going to keep them all, try to do them one at a time, but I just got sick of it, so I hacked them all. Got her down here on this little shelf. Geez, if my wiring's so bad, I guess I could just make the machine wider. about this much wider.
Just kidding.
But yeah, it's better without the Jones plug, because I can lift these up and just go under them, and I can see where each individual wire is hooked. Just about. I mean, it's always hard to see the end of stroke switches. They're always way back in there, but you can always pull the stepper off and bring it out this way and look at them. But well, got a big job ahead of me for the next couple days trying to hook all these back now, but at least I could just plug these in normal. That was hard to plug them in up there. And then I couldn't even see these all replay switches and adjustment, I mean, or whatever it's called. And well, can't be no worse than before. It didn't work. Okay, it's another morning, and I'm starting. I got all these bared, the ends bared, using this thing, easy way. And here's my. Pretty soon I'll have 22 of those. Sometimes I'll use the red one for this thin light wire that. Hopefully this works for the 6-volt. I don't have any experience doing this, so if it doesn't, I guess I'll have to rewire it with thicker wire. Otherwise, I went one way too thick. 16 gauge was too thick, I think. And then probably for the lights, I probably went too thin. I don't know. It's the first one I've ever monkeyed with for wiring. So I'm sure if I did this again, these wires can't be more than, I don't know, I could have took a drill bit index and shoved them into the hole to see, or maybe they make a wire index like they do with the thing I have that measures metal to tell me if it's 10 gauge or 12 gauge or what, 20 gauge, or maybe they make a thing to check wires. Maybe I should have bought one and then bared the end and stuck it in the hole to see what these actually are. So I have no idea. Obviously, they're not this. Because
Definitely
that's
not.
22 wires, right? Or no. That's 62 wires. Doesn't seem like it, but anyway, back to putting on butt connectors. And nothing better to do when it's snowing and cold. Work on pinball. Measured the wire out right here. I tied it on that screw. Then I went down and I have it marked out on this 2x4. And then I just cut it with my side cutters. Then I throw them on the floor. I don't care that they're all the same color because these are just patches in between the ones that were colored. There, I put half of the cord together. This is 10, and some of them were the light cords, which can be skinnier. But the other 10 is going to be all 16 gauge because that's what I got in hand. And that's the only reason I'm doing this. Probably if I did do it the lighter gauge, I still would have made a mess out of it, and then I still would need to be doing this, relocating this so I can actually trace wires if I have a problem. Turn these 10 rolls into a 10 cable added to this 10 cable. I'll have a 20 cable, and then back to work, stripping ends. Well, I've been doing this work, relocating it, so I can actually, I've been able to reach in there, and a lot of stuff I have marked with tags, and I can follow everything now. Sometimes not easy, but I can follow it. Anyway, I was thinking about everything I had wired seemed to be good as I'm going through it again. I think I know why nothing reset. It's because the eBay steppers I bought had shot coils, I'll bet. So when I get through with all this, I'm going to get something to jump each coil to see that it works. So that could have been a factor. Just saying. If you got shot coils, it's not going to reset. Let's check my progress. So that's the first cable I had. Now, look, there's two more. That one and this one. They kind of all crisscross right here, so there's a picture of all three. That's what I'm going for. This one's the 10. I'm going to do the 10, so it'd have 20 wires. This one's got the 22 wires. And this one cutting over here that I don't have marked would be 18 wires. I got it going right over here. So I'm trying to keep it neat here. So I'll have one on this side. Or this one right above it. Got it so it's hanging right above it, so don't bother me. And this one will be coming in from this side. So that stopped me from hooking them up. I just got down this one side. So now I got to go up this side, down that side, up that side, down that side, up that side, and then keep working in the adjustments wherever they need to be done. And then I got to figure out what I put this switch here for. And I know these are the, well, this is the only one that actually worked like a manual button. This one is just there for temporary. It's a toggle. And I'm sure I'll have loose ends all over the place, so I gotta, but I can see under here. I can trace stuff. I can trace stuff from the credit 9 switches and 0 switch or whatever we got, and same with all of them. They all got the switches and the coils. And then if I can get this all wired back, we'll find out if these coils were shot on these. And that's why I didn't do nothing, because I bought them on eBay. I think one guy even said they were shot. I forgot all about that. So he must have just bought some or had some extra ones and then just sold the one that needed a coil. But I'm not sure about that. I thought maybe I was using a jumper to try those before I put them on, but I'm not sure. I wish I was that far to try that right now, but yeah, so I tied this thing to this little piece here in the back of the, where the audience is supposed to, whatever you call that, the fake audience, and I tied this one to this fake audience thing, and that fake audience thing back in there is missing, because they got one on that side. So there's another thing I got missing, and for some reason, somebody damaged that. Alright, well, give it a go tomorrow. Hey, another day, and it's, what, Friday, and the sun's out, it's cloudy, but it was bright just a second ago. Morning I set out to get these adjustments for the second time, and I wasn't quite sure, but the name stepper unit, the name disc I mean, that's on the stepper unit, says the adjustments right there. So I looked in the machine, it's not there, so that means it's up with the rest of them. Where they're all together, left side of my Jones plugs. So you have one that you can shut the, see how this is only on the 4th and the 6th, that's for the T and T of shortstop. So for this T and that T, you can get free game. So if you don't want somebody to do that, you have a switch in between and it lined up with the rest of the adjustments, and you call it off and on. Then up near the top, it's called a name reset. Relay switch 2 looks like looks like you could reset that every game. So the Grand Slams would get reset every game. So if you don't want that, this is just a guess. So if you don't want that, you put this. You have another switch lined up with the adjustments, and you put it in the off. And as you can see, this is 61 wire color, 62 and 63. We won't care about the colors. I'm just calling them by that. Means it's a brown and a red, and and there's only one of those in the whole machine. Same with all these. It's a brown and a blue, and then a brown and a yellow, but we're not worried about that. We just know that these are going to come up through the Jones plugs. Are highlighted. These are going to be coming out of the Jones plugs. So I go to my Jones plug spot. There they are on the 10 jack. I got them bracketed off in red. There's the 61, 62, and 63 wire color. That's the code anyway. And there it's the match, high score, and if you want the name thing reset. Like I said, the 4th one's, wait, it shows it, instead of lining it up with the rest of them, they must have ran out of room. So they put it down here separately, I guess. But you see how this one's on this 98 wire? It's got a hump over. It's on a 98 wire. Where these are on 61, 62, and 63 wires, separate wires. So all these are going to go through the switch. And this one. So this one turns into the 98 wire. These will also turn into the 98 wire, but after the switch, and this one down here is after the switch. So I might as well just make like this one's lined up with these. So they all turn into this after the switch, but this one, so this is going to be coming up from the through a Jones plug, because this is going to be in the back box, This is in the back box. Of course, they're not in the back box anymore. I relocated them, but so this is going to be on my board there with the Jones plugs. This one, I mean this switch, this switch, this switch, and this switch. So this one I'm coming up out of the cabinet, and it's going to be probably going to say where it's coming from. It's probably going to say name, stepper unit, disc. So let's go see if it's got one. The only thing that said anything about a name was the name light, and that's the dash. Yeah, they called the dash the name light. That's the dash. If they didn't name it after what it's coming from, they're going to name where it's going to then. So then, let's see if the name adjustments, see if it's called name adjustment. I think we just looked for that. Anyway, the wire color is going to be 98. So basically I have to have 4 switches. One for the TNT. You want to give those to the players or not? Rewards for the Grand Slams, other than just getting 10 Grand Slams. Then, do you want it reset every game? These are all on and off. Yes or no? Yes, on, no, on. So on-off switches. Then you got the high score reward. You want to give that or not? And do you want to give the match rewards? So I don't know why they got to have here. You bought a game that gives rewards, and then they make it so you can get stingy and not give them out, I guess. So I got to have 4 switches. So now I got to go over there and see if we got 4 switches. Yeah, and there's going to be another one, all replay. So you can cancel all 4 at once by shutting this one off. So that'd be 5. I was going to use this one. This could be a on-off switch just like the rest of them. So, which one am I missing? So I guess this is the name replay one. So I labeled. And this is going to be the match one. So there's 2 of the 5. Here's the high score. So we got the name, replay, yes or no for the reset, I guess.
Maybe.
Or we could have it be the 2 T's, but so let's just say this is to stop the resets from resetting every game. The match replays, high score replays, and all replays. So I'm missing that one. I could change this all replay to the 2 T's for the Grand Slams, for the name disc. And then I could just use this for, if I could just leave this on, because I definitely want the rewards if I'm doing all this. So that's what I have to get wired. That's what I think is happening. This would be the 98 wire coming from the name disc. And it's going to have to go through the replay adjust. So here's our 98 wire. So it'd be that one coming out of there. Let's just act like this adjustment is lined up with the rest of them up here. So let's say it's right here. So we're going to have to go through. So first the 98 wire comes out. That little dinky little bit is where it comes out of the Jones plug. Then it gets to the first adjust. Then it gets to the second, the third, the fourth. So now we are through 3 switches. So first, how am I going to get these through the 3 switches? He's coming out of the 10 plug. So the 10 plug sends these out. I got to run all 3 of these through their respective switches. Connect them up with the 98 wire. So we connected up with the 98 wire after they're all through the switches. So this one's through its switch that isn't shown on here. I could have lined it up with the rest of them, but just because the schematic had it over there, I kind of left it off. So we go through all 4 switches, make like that one's here. Then coming out of the switches, we connect it all to the 98. That's why I put a 98 here. Then the 98 goes to the all replay switch, and then once we come out of there, we're at the 93. And guess what's here on the 11 plug? It says 93. So that 93 puts it back into the belly to go through the tilt switch. And then it's got to come back out to go through the replay stepper to give you the credits. So it comes back out on wire 90. So now we got to find out where it comes out, and then it's got to go through and open at. Oh, they didn't put what it's open at. I guess I was the one that left it off because I copied this and cut the 45 off, I guess. So it's open at 45. So both of these are in the back box. This is in the belly, so we got to look for 90 coming out of the belly. So we do that by going back to here, and here's a 90 coming out of the belly. So these come out of the bottom through the Jones plugs, and then go to their on-off switches. They call adjustments, replay adjustment. Then they connect up with the 98 wire. I guess then the 98 wire has to go through the all replay. And then coming out of the all replay switch, I'm ready to go to the belly, and that's going to be on the 93. Unplug 93. So 98 comes from the belly. I'd say 93 goes back in. I'm going to cross this off and put, oh yeah, it's from the all replay, not to. So I just got to change that. So it's hard to write there, so I put from all replay switch, either on and off and back to the belly through this 93. And that's where it's going to come back out through 90. Let's check that. I got it on this little piece of paper. It's going to come out of the tilt relay, go to 90. That's what it should say down here. It comes out of the belly tilt relay through the 90. It's right over to the 45 limit and to the step up replay credit switch, or credit stepper unit, through this 90. So this one's coming out of the Jones plug. This one's going into the Jones plug, and this one's coming out. So I got to make sure. So this is out. This is out of the Jones plug. This goes back in, and this comes back out. So I got to get this marked so I don't have to go through this again. Now I got to weigh it. So I come out of the 198. It's the 11 plug. I come out of the right side, last one, almost the last one. Almost the last one. And the green went around. It goes into the T, the two T's if you want it. If you want it, you leave the pin in. And then this one goes into the next one. And as you can see, a different wire feeds it. And that different wire came off of these. So that feeds it. So every time I just keep cutting into the top one each time. It's up the first one because I had to start somewhere. So the first one comes through here, and if I didn't want it, I would just move this pin over to here. So then, wait a minute now, if I did that, I wouldn't have anything, right? Well, that wouldn't work, right? But it does work, because then you just left off the T and T rewards. for the name game, for getting the 2 T's. That's the 4th and 6th Grand Slam. So if you don't want that, you move the pin over here. But we want it. Why else would I do all this? Got to get the rewards. Which does nothing because it's a free game anyway, but it's a thought that counts. So each one goes into the top. So every time you don't want one, you just unplug and it's out of the system. Then it comes around and goes through the all plays. I want it on, so that's on. If I didn't want any of these, then I just shut it off. So now we're going out of this all play back to, gotta figure out which one. This one's from the belly, this one's to the belly, and this one's back to the credit stuffer to get the rewards. So then we're done going through the adjustments, so we want to go back to the belly, so we want to go in 93. 93 is the 3rd from the end. The 3rd from the end, so this white wire, and yep, there's nothing hooked to it. So I gotta join these two and I might be done with the adjustments finally. So with my adjustments, I used to have these two spread out way over here, but I moved them in closer and made room because I gotta have the match light adjustment. I didn't really know about that one, or seen it, didn't know what the deal is. So the match adjustment has 2 sets. So even when I'm done with this one, I might have another one because, no, I guess it doesn't. I don't know. Because the match light, first off, the 50 volt makes it, makes the match stepper turn 1 step every time you get an out, which they call a mystery because then you'll never know what it is. Or the skill. The skill where it turns only once it reset and it stays there for the whole game, I think.
Yep, that's skill.
So
you know what it is.
The skill because you know what it's going to be, and this one's a mystery. It turns every time. So I don't have those switches, so I'm just going to wrap the wire around a nail, and I'm going to make it, and there's supposed to be an off. So that's why I got 3 sets. So I'm just going to, like I say, wrap the wire for now, and I want it to be the mystery where it changes every time the out stepper, every time you make an out, it changes, I think. Unless I want it just to be 1 number for the whole game, I'm not sure. So that's this side of it. That's the 50 volt side. Then there's the match number that has to be getting there from the 6 volt side. So I don't know about that yet. I didn't know it was going to take so long to do these adjustments. But since I never had any, I didn't have any back box at all. And then when I did get one, it was just empty. So, and then I ran into this wiring the coil. It's been a while. So here's what I was just talking about. Every time you get an out, this path, if you, on mystery, will change the match stepper a notch every out. Because this is your telephone pin. So if you pin it in this one, it'll change it every out. If you pin it in this one, it only does it at reset. Because that's where the arrow goes. Reset. units. It's not just this unit, it resets a couple other units. Here's what I ran into doing these solenoids. Because up until now I wasn't doing solenoids. You gotta figure this comes through this score motor right here. This pulse that would pulse it every out. And even if you did it at the end of the game for the reset, this arrow here brings it through another score motor, just like this one. See it? The ground and the score motor give it a good path. But all this is all the way down through here, through this phone pin, and out this way and over to here, up until you get to here. You know what all that is? That's just a ground wire. All that's just a ground wire. Where is it? Here, up to there, over to there, through there, up to there. See, it's the ground.
No.
All that's just a ground wire. Here's the hat. So when I get to this coil, it's going to have two lugs. It's going to have one right here on the ground side, and it's going to have one here on the hot side. So once I get to there and hook that up, then I still got to make sure that I run a red wire or something to where I got all the hots going to one wire. Gets to be quite a few. So that's what I got to do now. And then there's the 6-volt side of this. So one of these two are going to be the hot. Depends, I suppose it depends which way you put the plug in the wall. So it depends which way you put the plug in the wall. So if I look at this side is the hot or the ground. Here we are, we're on the 6-volt side. And it shows another mystery thing, just like the other side did. It's not showing the out disc wiring where it would get the 6-volt from, but this is going to be either hot or ground, and this same on this side. So it's going to go through the. I don't understand why. So I guess you got to have another set of switches for the 6-volt light bulbs to light up on top, or what? I haven't figured all this out yet, so I have to go back to working on it. I see there is a game over. This is going to come out of the cabinet then, so there's going to be a Jones plug for this. So I might be able to find out from this wire being number 50, or this side being number 25, maybe there's something out there for that. Let me see. 50 called after tilt. No other wire numbers on here. So somehow that match unit, I think I remember where I did hook the 6-volt thing. The match unit discs does have one spot that keeps changing as it turns, and then you got a 6-volt hot that hooks to it. I think that's what it was, but I gotta get back to work on it and figure this out. Cheer says I was wrong with this. So, yes, the pulse to move that match stepper the pulse to move that match stepper. Oh, come on. I have to move them. Again, I followed it the wrong way because I'm talking about the out stepper. So that's the That's the match stepper unit. So we come up to this adjustment on 54, so it goes under that one. That one goes up to that score motor. You see these two lines? It's two different. See that? That's B. That's run man score motor. That's not a score motor. That's a run man motor. And this one up here, that's another run man motor. So I didn't realize that. So it's two different. You gonna let me do this, Cheerio? It's two different run man switches. So obviously then this is going to make the match change when the runner moves, I would think. And it's two different switches, so either way, that's the mystery where it's going to move every time, and it's going to move from the run man switches, motor switches, cam and motor switches through the out stepper disc. And then, what are you doing over there? And I had that wrong. I thought it went through another score motor. And then I seen that B on there and a B on that one. Then I realized each of these tracks are going to get moved from a different motor. I don't know what the reason they did that for. It's just to move this match stepper to keep changing it. So, okay, so I got this one run over here from that run man motor out of the Jones plug. It's the one with the 54 wire and the 58 wire, so I got them both run over to the 54 and the 58. They went and stuck the game over in between there. Yeah, they come around over here. So I got one by the mystery and one by the skill. So now I just can finish it. And then when I get the switches, I'll switch in. Well, this is going to wrap it up for Friday night. At least I got these adjustments done. Otherwise, they would have just got left out, I guess. But I see to finish the match light, all I have to do is run one wire. There it is. It's on the 10 Jones plug. It's right. There it is, right there. Numbers match light. Twisted them together here without the switch that's missing for the mystery, where when the runner goes, it's going to change. The runner motor, run man motor will change the outstepper here, disc finger every time the run man moves. Well, I'll be able to see all this when I get it working, if I ever get it working. So that's the end of Friday night. I guess I didn't get any more than these adjustments done, but at least they're done. And now I can, I think I got a lot of the hard parts done. So some of the easy parts, you know, I could get 4 or 5 of these lugs all in an hour, or even less. It's just that every time you do one, first I gotta find where it's coming out up here and make sure it's the one. I'm not gonna guess. Then I gotta splice it up here. Then I gotta splice it down here. That's for every wire. So, nah, if I did find 4 or 5 fast ones where I could locate it up here quick, it would still be a couple hours just to get 4 or 5, I would think. That would be quick. In other words, a whole day again to try to finish this. And Saturday I got to do something, so it looks like it'd be Monday. Well, good morning. Monday morning now, a couple days before Christmas. And while I was doing other things, I did do some studying. I made up a new booklet where I left this side blank on each one, so I had a right and a left so I could take notes. And I think I got the hard part done, doing the adjustment, doing adjustments, yeah, that's what you call. And so I got 3/4 of it left to wire, but it's a lot easier, I think, than what I started with, where I had to put those fixed adjustments. So I don't think I ever had that wired right. So I'm just gonna probably come back in when I get all these wired and start trying it again. So hopefully that'll be the end of the day. If not at the end of the day, it'll be by noon tomorrow. So then I can see if then I have room since I moved all these Jones plugs down. The only problem I'll have doing that is well, it already started, so all the cables are going through the hole where they come up here, that notch. The only problem is, if you ever want to take this apart, I'll have to refabricate the cabinet so that it has a couple pins you pull or something on each side, and this block comes out so that the wires could come with the head. I would have to do that. It's like 3 boards I'd have to change. The frame of the head and the floor is pretty much split already in there. So that isn't giving it any strength anymore. So I would just have to change this outer frame so that it can come off, where I put a screw here and maybe one over here so it could come off. And then I would have this one where I'd have to do the same thing where this could come off. Otherwise, I'd have to cut that with a sawzall to do it this way. Anyway, talk to you in a day or so. I'm going to keep wiring all day here. Well, all these wires right in here are the end of stroke from this, from the run stepper unit. You can see the adjustments here for the replays, and down there, those are the adjustments for the automatic reset. These, I got a telephone pin in just one of them. I had to rehash all the way through there just to hook up this one wire. 2 of them were still hooked up from the end of stroke, but the bottom one wasn't. I had to remember these go for the, it has 3 telephone pins, and it goes from 12 to 26. You put the pins in where you want, and then it gives somebody a free game when you get it. The bottom, way underneath there, we have to use a mirror. I think it goes from 42 runs down to 32 maybe. So that's that yellow wire. I have a telephone pin in. It goes through the high score impulse relay, switch 2. And then it goes to the high score reset relay that's in the bottom of the machine. Well, I just resoldered the telephone pin right here, and I know there's a wire I cut that goes up to this impulse relay that's in the back box, and then it comes out of that and then should go through the Jones plug to the high score reset relay in the bottom of the machine. So I gotta get back to there it is. I'm gonna start this morning. It's almost 9 o'clock already, and it's December 24th, Christmas Eve. So I gotta get this thing wired. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, so 15 hours, and that's only if I stay up late. I'm wiring right now. You got the run relay switch 2 and the run relay switch 3. That should still have a wire on it, as I didn't make that extend and go down to the lower cabinet. As you can see, the run switch 2 is for the 0 through 9 white drum, and the switch 3 is for the 1090. And as you come over, it goes through the second batter relay switch. If you're on the first batter, it's closed. And it definitely goes through the 9 switch. It should be open till 9, and that's the white coil for the 1090 first player. then you got the 1090 second player. All that happens is the switch changes when you get to the second player's spot, and again, it doesn't do anything unless the 9 switch the 9 switch tells it to. So that's what I'm wiring right now. So I got the 9 switch. As you can see, there are only 2 9 switches. You don't have one for the ones column. They just have the 0 switch. Ones column goes right from the run relay straight through. No 9 switch. So this is what I'm wiring now. So that 9 switch is going to tee into the 0 switch, and then they both come over here. The 0 switch is for reset. So I gotta wire in a T where the reset and the 0. So it's coming from the 0 switch. So that would be from the same scoring unit. So the 0 switch has to merge into the 9 switch, and then they both go to pull in the coil at the negative side, and then the hot side goes to the rail. So that's what I'm doing down there now. Well, it's after Christmas, just the day after, and when I realized that I might have some dead coils, so I didn't keep working all Christmas Eve. I knew I couldn't get it then, and then I studied from 3 o'clock in the morning to about 8 o'clock on Christmas Day, and I learned how to rewire the 0 switches and the 9 switches and the end of stroke switches, and exactly what's supposed to happen, because I thought I had some wires wrong. So I reviewed all that. I might show you a few things on what I learned. So I took the left side of the Jones plug and the 10 jack, and I put them together by gluing it, and I got a better picture of what goes on when this 37 and 39 wire come run relay switches, run relay switch 1 and run relay switch 2. Of course, they come from a ground wire first before they go through the run relay. Then they go through the Jones plug. I guess these 2 lines here are your Jones plug. For switch 2, they just come right back. They're going down to the lower cabinet. The only reason this has to send them back down and back up, I said some of these don't come out of the Jones plug. They're going into the Jones plug, then they come back up. That's what makes it a little harder. And so what they're doing down there is going to the second batter switch, make and break switch, and coming back up. That's how they control player 1 and player 2. And because of that, you have to go down and come back up. And relay switch 2 can go straight to the Jones plug. There's just right from the run relay straight to the Jones plug to go down to that make and break switch for second batter. Then these come back up, and they go to the second point, the 1 point, first and second player. The 0 switch shares a lug. The first one, when these are lined up like that in the back of the machine, so this would be the bottom, this is the hot, and the second one is the out of the 0 switch. This is the end. And the out of the 0 switch doesn't need a wire to come back into the coil because it's the same lug. That's the weird part. All the 0 switches start from the ground rail and they go through the score reset. So the score reset has everything to do with the 0 switches, because that's what they're for. The machine's dumb and it doesn't know when it's at 0, but with the 0 switch it does. So after it goes through the 0 switch, So the first lug's the hot coil that goes to the hot 50 rail. So that would be the out to the hot. So the end, the negative end would be the number 2 lug. And number 3 lug, that's the 0. This is the 0 switch. So the in is where you would come from coming out of your 0 switch.
Yep, from the reset relay.
Score, reset, 0 switch, all in the back box. Then you come out and you go to the second lug, or no, the third lug.
Yep,
And
third lug.
then you come out here without a wire. That's what you don't need a wire because you're coming out, and this is already wired on the 10 unit stepper, ones column. And this is the first player, and so when you come out, you're already going into the coil because this is a shared into the negative coil. That's the thing I had to learn, so now I'm going to go wire it. And a little different with the 9 switch. When you come out of your 9 switch, first you come out of the Jones plug. It's number 7 of the 11 plug. You come out, you go into your 9 switch in, and then you come out of your 9 switch out, and then you do have a little short wire. Different than the 0 switch because the 9s are up here and they don't share that lug. So now it comes down here to the shared lug.
No, I got that wrong. It
So
goes.
you do need a short wire
It goes
for
to
that. So
the.
now that I know all
It
this,
goes
I
to
gotta go
the
check it all
10
out.
to 90 drum.
And the end of the stroke, it just starts at a ground rail, goes through player 1 end of stroke, and goes through player 2 end of stroke. So you have a wire between the 2 end of strokes. So I'd have one crossing over from this one over to that one. And then it goes into run relay switch 1 because these things make it so you only get one run. And that cuts the hole. And so that's basically the end of stroke switch up here is the third one up. You're not going to go down to do anything to do with the coil. It cuts the run relay. Now I gotta wire. I have to do a correction. When this wire that comes out of the Jones plug, number 7, it says go to 9 switch first player. So we went to the 9 switch first player. But when you come out, you don't go to the same coil. You go to the one next to it, which is the 9.
That's right. Very
Because the 9 switch is going to be on the 0 through 9 column, the 1s column. So when this is the Jones plug. So when you come out and you go through the 9 switch on the 1s column, that short wire isn't quite as short as I thought. It goes over to the stepper next to it, the 1090, because that's what the 9 switch is for. You're going to move the 1090. You're not going to move the same one that already moved. So that's what I'm checking there now. So cross this out and make it go over here to the one next to it.
And another thing, they both move at the same time.
I've added the 1090, so now the wire's going to come over here, but 5 lugs, 2 are empty, so I can cross those off. So we got 3 choices to know how to move the coil. Okay, these 2 are in the 9 switch right here. The red's in and the white's out, so let's see where I got it. Okay, we're coming out of the first player 9 switch. Coming out of the first player 9 switch right here. And you can see the 0 switch is coming down. I'm going to merge with it. Right here. It's coming down right there. It's going to merge with it. And then you go to the coil. So I got to merge with the 0 switch, then go to the coil, and I got to find out which lug to do it in. So here's the white wire leaving. And here's where it's coming out. I've got it merged with something. I just got to see if that's the 0 switch. And then, since it's not going to be white anymore, it looks like I merged it with 2 wires. And then, I guess it just goes up and around and comes back. It's a red wire, so it goes here. So I'm thinking hot, just like the other stepper, must be the bottom one. So I'm going to put some electrical unit on this and see if, but I think this one's shot, so it's not going to turn. I'll have to check this with an ohm meter. Anyway, this is what I got to do. I got to check all of these. So that's what I'm doing today.
I've had some stuff wrong. I'm going to learn it.
The red one, because I teed in with the 0 switch and it changed color. The red one came up there, went around, and it came to here. That's the hot. These are wrong, probably. If this is the hot, the same as the bottom one over here is the hot, then this one should be going to the second one.
And you don't tee into the 0
Should
switch.
be going to the second one.
The 0 switch is automatically on the right lug coming out.
The hot's the yellow. Should be down here if it's the same as this stepper. So now if it is, I'll switch these two. Because all these wires that we run that are crossed on a schematic are actually the ground. So I'm going to come in here and then energize it with this going to a hot rail.
That's exactly right.
That's what I think. So I think this was wired wrong. On the 0 through 9 stepper unit, this one has to be the hot because the next one is the shared in from the 0 switch. But when you come over here,
it's going to be the same. It'll be the same.
If this one has nothing to do with these two, then maybe you could come in on either one. Just like turning the cord around backwards on a 2-plug outlet, maybe.
That's probably
so
true.
Maybe I can leave it like that. I'll have to figure that out. Yes, on a 1090 I had wrong. I didn't think of it correctly. I have to think of it just like these other ones. This is the hot. This goes to the hot rail. This is your one coming in and you share it with the other 0 switch in. So this is 0 switch out. And to run the coil in, it's a shared, but no wire ever comes out from the 0 switch.
There you go.
It's built in.
Yeah, no wire ever comes out. There's only a 0 switch in.
This must have been for if you have an end of stroke switch.
Talking about the
where you go in and out.
The 10 through 90.
It just says the 0 switch. I know it's the 0 switch on lug 2 and 3 because you have to have a 0 switch to reset it. So you come in, I come in from the reset through the 0 switch from the reset relay. That makes this one automatically hooked to it. And then all I have to do is run the hot out to the hot rail. So I'm going to go and do that. Took the 1 through 9 stepper apart in case I had it wrong. And this blue one is the second one, or the third one. That goes to the, you can see right in there, where it goes to the 0 switch, and it goes to the coil. Yeah, it's this one. So this is the blue wire. I put a little red on it. It goes to the 0 switch and the coil. So that's the one that's shared. And it's actually the third one. So I gotta quit thinking that this is the shared one. It's this one. So when I run the 0 switch wire up here, I'll have to think about it.
No,
I should be hooking it to this one.
I still run it to the third one.
But
I don't change
it's
nothing.
going to hurt to know that. And then I ordered 4 new coils. It probably cost about $50 or $60. And all it was the 0 switch was open. This is the 0 switch.
Yeah.
All it was, I had some up here on 0. See that one on 0? And this one must have been on 0. So then I thought coils were bad. I couldn't get nothing. I was on 0. So I'm going to continue and take a couple of these extra ones I got apart. And I'm going to make sure the third one is always the one that goes to the shared one, to the coil.
It's the third one's the 0 switch. Zero
Hey,
switch.
good morning. Now it's a couple days after Christmas, but I made a new poster board on this wiring. I'm going to show you. Earlier I made this one, which I was starting to get it. This one, this is the ground rail, and then it goes through this, goes back into the cabinet through the Jones plug, and then comes back up around, and so forth. And then I started to make some lugs over here, but I got something better than that now. To this one from the 11 plug. So they had some from the 10 plug and 11 plug and two different plugs that have to do with each other. There are things that come straight out of the cabinet, like the strike lights. For strike 1, 2, and 3, they just come out and you run those to the strike lights. That's all the more complicated it is. But in this case, for reasons that things have to go into the cabinet, like the 9 switch has to go in and come out of the cabinet. It's so it goes through the second battery make break switch. You got your run switch in the back cabinet on the run relay switch 2 and switch 3. These are the important ones. So you got the ground rail. That goes into switch 2 and goes into switch 3. Each switch has to go back down through the Jones plug. This is the Jones plug. And it has to go through the second battery, make break switch, and it comes back up. In this case, it comes back up here, and 36 and 35 they call it. Then, to make it easier, I drew the 0 through 9 and the 1090s. This is the second player, and that's the first player, because that's the way you look at it from behind the machine. So when you come out, they labeled them second player 1 point and first player 1 point. This means these can go, they don't need a 9 switch. They're going right for the coil.
Because it's
And
not
that's the second lug is the coil in.
exactly.
And this one goes way down over here to the first player, 0 through 9. So these go to the 0 through 9, and they go to the second lug. That's
negative end.
the end to the negative coil.
Yes.
It shares it with the 0 switch. I found out the shared wire is actually a third lug, but it's a switch, so it doesn't matter which one you're on, I believe.
Yes, it does. You got to come in with the 0 switch on the third one. That's the 0 switch.
This is the first
coming
lug,
in.
the hot wire. The hots all go together, and they go to the hot rail, although I ran a separate hot wire to each one, which is probably dumb. But at least I got it done. Okay, so then now you got your player 1 and 2 from the run relay switch. So for getting a run, so it's gonna move the thing. So you get a digit, and the score reset is in the back box, so it doesn't got to go down and come back through anything to do with any second batter. You can reset everything from the back box. So switch 1 goes to player 1, third lug of the 0 switch, and the score relay reset switch 2 goes to the second lug of the second player, and it's the same with the score reset switch 3 and 4. Switch 3 will do player 1, but it will do it on the 1090, and it goes to the third lug.
Yep.
So on the score reset switch 1, let's see, did we put it on the third lug? Yes, same third lug. It's just there's only 3 lugs on this. There are 5, but 2 don't have nothing to them. Probably for if you need an end of a stroke switch or something. So that's how the score reset works. And then the 9 switch goes in the run relay switch 3, it goes down to go into the second player, or second batter, make break switch. It comes back out of the Jones plug and goes to the 9 position. Well, here goes. Second player, 9 position. It goes to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th lug. And then the 4th lug goes right over to the, it's a little jumper wire that goes right over to the other stepper to the 2nd lug. That's the end to run the coil, because you want this to move. That's the whole point of the 9 switch.
Negative end.
It's the same for the first player. First players go up. It's the 9 switch 5th lug, and then the 4th lug goes over here to the negative end of the coil. This is the positive to go to the rail for the 50 volts. This is the negative end. And the second one's the negative end. This one's from the reset relay. Let's follow and see if it is. Yeah, reset relay. So that's, I've already got one wired right. The first player is all wired. So now I can just copy that one, sort of. And I got the this one to do. And then I got the high score thing up there. I got those 2 steppers. They got 2 score reels also. I'm checking them off as I get them wired. The whole 11 thing is all checked off. I'm down to about 28 left. So when I get these score reels done, I'm going to have the left side of the 10 jack, because these jacks have wires on both sides, of course. It's a 2-way jack. When it slides in, it has copper on this side and that side. What I'm going to get rid of is I'm going to get rid of these 2 to be wired, the first 2 on the left side from the back, and then these are spread apart. They just couldn't put them together, could they? They had to do it like that. And then it also has to do with these 2 over here, because these are the 9 switch. So I'll get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the score reset signal comes out of the bottom of the box through the Jones plug and goes up around to the score reset. So I'll get rid of that one. So I'll get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 will be wired. And then when I do the high score, it'll probably take a couple more of these somewhere. I have to see where that's going to bring me. I know it's going to have a high score reset. There'll be a couple more I'll get rid of doing the high score. So I got to do 2 more sets of these. The other white one for the second player, and then the red one, which has 2 also. All right. I don't quite understand the reset of the red reels yet, except for these 2 feeds here are manual buttons. These 2 are the manual buttons. That would reset it. But unless this has something to do with it, says high score reset relay. So
Switch.
but then there's always this automatic reset at whatever you got it set at, which goes through the high score latch. I guess it trips the latch. I don't know. I don't have everything to do with the reset of that.
No, it latches
it. Normal reset like the
it. It latches it and holds it to the end of the game.
The red 0 through 9. The end of stroke switch here gets its ground off the ground rail. Then it goes through the end of stroke, and then that will go to switch 1 on the high score high score impulse relay. It's in the back box. It's one of the top one, high score relay. There's 3 in a row there on that piece of plywood. It's the only one with the 5 switches, so the understroke's going to come from the ground. This is off the run stepper unit. It's going to come through here, and it's going to go to switch 1. And then 1 also has the jumper wire going back to the negative end. And then the coil gets its juice from the red ground rail, 50-volt rail. Switch 2, I got it going down here to the, it's going to go through a Jones plug, of course, to get in the belly. It's going to go to the high score reset latch. Switch 3 is going to go to the, through a Jones plug also, to the high score replay latch, and this one's the reset latch. Both latches, I guess. And high score impulse relay switch 4 is the one that's going to go up here to the 9 switch. And then the 9 switch, of course, will go over there and go into the negative end. And the positive of that coil to turn the 1090 reel is going to the red 50 volt. The make and break on the 5th switch of the high score impulse relay, and it's normally closed to the manual switch. And so then when this high score impulse relay gets pulled in, switch 5 is the one that'll score, just like this one will always be able to reset. This one will always be able to score it. That's why it's open. So when will it close? The high score impulse relay gets closed, but completes a circuit every time a run is scored. But it has to match up, almost like the match. And then when it gets to the one where it matches up, a pulse is sent to the high score impulse relay and pulls in the 5 switches. As you can see, I left the 0 switch in blank and the 0 switch in blank on the 1090 of the red high score drum. So that's going to be the reset, because reset's always use the 0 switch. So then if I can get all this done, then I just have those 2 left to do. Okay, I'm going to get going. Okay, look at this. I figured out how it resets. Just like all these parallels, every time the motor turns, they all don't have something happen because they have switches in the way. Open switches, and that's what we have with this high score reset relay switch 2 and high score reset relay switch 3, where these big arrows are pointing. These are what stops the red high score digits from resetting every time the motor turns, because it gets a pulse. So every time the motor turns, these would reset, except these are open. And the other thing they need to reset is for these to close and this to pull in and latch. And just like these other ones have an open switch where they don't get a ground, this automatic reset doesn't get its ground until the telephone pin's in the one where you want it to reset between 32 and 42 runs or something like that. Then it gets its ground. And so in this case, this is the switch that gives the runs to the high score digits. So when this closes, if this has got a ground from this telephone pin lining up, that gives it the ground, and the telephone pin lines up, giving this a good path. Then it pulls in a high score reset relay, which closes these 2 switches. switch 2 and switch 3 of that relay right there.
It latches
So,
them. They stay closed till the end of the
and
game.
now this has a good path because it gets it, but it will only happen in game over. It won't get a ground until game over.
That's why they got a latch. That's why these got a latch.
So that don't make much sense.
Yes,
it
because
all made sense until I had to say this has to be down on this make break switch to be game over.
but they latch. They latch. That's why they latch, to wait till the end of the game.
Then when that last run was made, that made it 42 runs or wherever the telephone pin was in, these would close, both these would close. This 5 impulse would send impulse to the high score 1s column and the high score 10s column, and both of these would be reset. So that's how it gets reset. And yes, they go through the 0 switches. This tees in before the 0 switches. And even the manual reset buttons are before the 0 switches. So you don't gotta hit a few buttons and run out and look and see if you're on 0. They're before the 0 switches too. And then it comes up here and runs it, and there's your 9 switch. That would be for getting your normal, it's hooked to switch 5, so that would give your 10s column a trip. Rewired it. I don't know which switch I put everything on, because there's this one on the impulse relay, so I'm checking over the impulse relay to see if it's all wired. And I just figured out why these would still be open at the end of the game. That's where the latch comes in.
They wouldn't be open. They'd be closed.
That's why these would still be closed.
There you go. Still be closed.
I might just run off what I got. I never got the machine running, but I might just run off what I got. And I think I'll have it running in a couple days.